My grandmother is the sole grand princess of the current dynasty, known for her ruthless demeanor and her ability to disrupt the court's affairs. My mother once commanded great respect as the formidable leader of the Black Wind stronghold. With a fierce blade in hand, she wielded power without a flicker of hesitation in her gaze. Who could have foreseen that even the most ill-fated bamboo could yield a good shoot? Astonishingly, this formidable matriarch and her daughter-in-law have raised a person as honest as I. Due to my unwavering sincerity, even the royal family hesitated to take me as a bride, fearing that the only cherished heart of the grand princess might perish within the treacherous confines of the imperial palace. If the royal family dares not approach a woman of my disposition, who else would? Consequently, I have become an unmarried woman of a certain age in the city of Chang'an. On the day the emissaries from the duke's residence arrived to propose marriage, my grandmother nearly fell to her knees in gratitude at the ancestral shrine. Is there anyone in this world more honest than my dear grandson? On the eve of my wedding, the heavens roared with thunder and flashed with lightning. My mother took my hand gently, offering a comforting pat. The Sun family is a household of integrity. Though Sun Shiryang has several concubines, he is a man of propriety. It is said that these women have been consuming contraceptive potions prior to the mistress's arrival. Your mother-in-law is not in good health despite being a concubine in charge of the household. The management will ultimately be entrusted to you upon your marriage. With your grandmother's presence, the Sun family would not dare to mistreat you. I nodded in agreement. I am unafraid, mother. I believed that treating everyone with honesty would never lead me astray. On the day of my wedding, my grandmother fainted in my mother's embrace. My precious Jiao Jiao, you shall endure hardship in another's household. My mother reassured her, take care of your health. With you here, who would dare to bring her suffering? As my grandmother gazed at the formidable blade in my mother's hand, she managed to hold back her tears. The two matriarchs escorted me to the bridal chamber. With a splendid procession of 30 miles adorned in red, it took half a day to circumnavigate the city, and even my coffin was prepared in advance for my eventual departure from this world. Such was the affection I received within my family. On the night of the wedding chamber, my heart brimmed with joy as I awaited my husband to lift the red veil. On the day of the marriage proposal from Sun Shiryang, I glimpsed him from behind a screen. He gracefully wielded a bamboo fan adorned with xiangfei motifs, his moon-white robe embroidered with dark-hued orchids. His raven hair was partially tied up with a jade hairpin, while a few strands cascaded onto his forehead, accentuating his enchanting peach blossom eyes that sparkled with tenderness. Indeed, he was a talented and charming scholar. I found myself infatuated with him. Despite my grandmother's warnings about his premarital dalliances and her desire to reject this union, I persisted in persuading her to agree to my marriage to the Sun family. In my heart, I envisioned a harmonious life with him, sharing joys and sorrows together. Suddenly, the flickering red candle flared and sputtered. Instead of my husband, a few of his concubines arrived. Isn't that the princess of Jinrom? Why hasn't the groom come to unveil the bride? A melodious laugh, as bright as a yellow oriole song, pierced my ears. Allow me to serve in the groom's stead. Amidst the gasps, the red veil fell to the ground. I lifted my gaze and scanned the three women before me, their appearances not particularly striking. Who are you? I heard my maid, Levian, rebuke them. How dare you be so audacious? The princess is of noble birth. Are you worthy to offend her? Levian had served me since childhood. The woman who had mocked me earlier sneered, her eyes brimming with disdain. We are all concubines of the young master. With such a face, the princess might sully his eyes. With a mocking tone, she challenged, if you have the guts, let the princess strike me. As she spoke, she raised her hand and slapped Levian across the face with a resounding crack. The force of the blow left a distinct imprint on Levian's fair cheek, causing her to stagger slightly. A woman in yellow beside the concubine tugged at her sleeve, worry etched on her face. Raonyang, have we gone too far? What if we anger her, and she sells us out in retaliation? The woman referred to as Raonyang pointed at me derisively. Fear not. I use silver to inquire before the young master wed. She is known as a simpleton in Chang'an. In my eyes, she carries the title of princess, but is nothing more than a fool. See, I struck her maid, and she didn't dare utter a word. If she dares to sell me out, I shall regard her as a man. I lower my gaze, pinching the jade pendant at my waist. You speak well. Come closer and repeat that for me. Yes, I am an honest person. Honest people love to fulfill others' requests. Raonyang twisted her slender waist, strutting towards me with an air of arrogance. My time is invaluable. To repeat it for you is a great favor, so listen carefully. Before her words could finish resonating in the air, a sharp pain surged across my cheek. Without hesitation, I fulfilled her wish to be slapped, raising my hand to deliver several forceful strikes. Each blow was met with a resounding crack. "You wretched girl! How dare you strike me?" Her eyes widened in disbelief.
Levian,
Fearing she would retaliate against me, quickly shielded me. I extended my hand to Levian. "My hand hurts." Levian tenderly massaged my palm, her eyes filled with concern. "My lady, why must you sully your hands? If you wish to accomplish something, naturally, your maidservants will assist." I nodded, recalling something, and rose to retrieve a bundle of contracts from my dressing box. After rummaging through, I handed one to Levian. Levian understood, calling for Granny Lee from outside. "These next few days are the princess's auspicious days. After this period, we shall send them away." Roungyang, filled with self-satisfaction, scoffed, "Don't be too pleased with yourself. The young master will not come tonight. He is in another courtyard with the girl Yunxiu." She remained blissfully unaware that my handing over of the contracts to Granny Lee signified something profound. Granny Lee neatly folded the contracts and tucked them away, her expression grim as she commanded the other servants outside. "Why aren't you coming in? Send these shameless little hussies away." "I merely went to fetch some food for the princess. Why do you allow these shameless creatures to disturb her?" Roungyang had flaunted her power long enough, shoving her way through the incoming servants. "Keep your hands to yourselves. We are all the young master's women, precious in his eyes. If we were to be harmed, he would seek your life." I stifled a laugh, inquiring, "Where is the other courtyard?" Roungyang, flaunting her delicate fingers, retorted, "Why the urgency to see the young master? Don't flatter yourself. The young master only married you because you offered yourself to him. I am an honest person, but those who serve me are not." Granny Lee promptly delivered another slap to Roungyang. "Wretched girl, answer when your master speaks. If you prattle on, you shall be dragged out and have your tongue cut off." Roungyang flailed about, pointing at Granny Lee in anger. "You old hag." Just as she spoke, Granny Lee swiftly severed her hair with a dagger. Roungyang's companions, who had previously surrounded her, were now terrified and hastily sought excuses to flee. Only Roungyang, trembling, feigned calmness. I kindly informed her, "Granny Lee is my mother's maid. You know my mother, the head of the Black Wind stronghold. Granny Lee hails from a bandit background." I spoke sincerely, not uttering a falsehood. Roungyang's complexion paled, her tongue darting out to wet her lips. I offered her a cup of water, which she screamed and knocked away. "I am the young master's beloved. If you dare touch me, he will settle the score with you." The glass shattered, water splattering onto the pearls adorning my shoes. I sighed softly. "If you are indeed his beloved, why is he in another courtyard with someone else?" I merely asked casually, and Roungyang fled, shrieking. Truly, she could not bear the truth. I instructed Granny Lee to send someone to inquire about the other courtyard and to deliver some warming deer antler wine. With a beautiful companion. How could fine wine be absent? How considerate I was indeed. Once everyone was dispatched, I claimed the grand bed for myself, sinking into a deep slumber. The next day, during the morning greetings, Sun Shiyang had yet to set foot in my chamber. Levian fumed on my behalf. "The young master is truly outrageous." My hand trembled as I tried to outline my brows, causing a smudge. "He still hasn't returned?" Levian selected a phoenix hairpin to adorn my hair. "Word from the other courtyard is that he and that Yunxiu girl have been entangled all night. He hasn't even left his room." I redid my brows. "Then let us not wait. We shall pay respects to my mother-in-law." I directed that someone swiftly deliver some ginseng soup to my husband, instructing that if anyone inquired, they should say the young master had worked hard the night before and, although young and impetuous, should still exercise restraint with his mistress.
Ah.
This honest nature of mine truly relishes thinking of others. I rose, followed by a throng of maids and servants, a dark cloud of them trailing behind, making my way to my mother-in-law's courtyard. As soon as I stepped into the main courtyard, Levian was on the verge of tears. Granny Lee had her hands on her hips, glaring at me as if she were ready to draw her sword. The Sun residence was far too oppressive. I gazed, puzzled, at the 4 or 5 pairs of red undergarments hanging by the door. "Granny, what does this mean?" Granny Lee gritted her teeth, each word seemingly forced through clenched jaws. This is a warning for the princess. The concubines who had mocked me the night before were waiting by the door, pointing and laughing at the undergarments. The princess has just been wed and is still unacquainted with such matters. It is only natural she does not understand. These are garments we have worn. If the newcomer crawls beneath them, she will be free from ailments and enjoy peace and prosperity. My eyes sparkled with delight. Such a good fortune? I must ensure they all partake. An honest person always considers the needs of others. Granny Lee, what are you waiting for? This blessing should naturally be bestowed upon my mother-in-law first. My mother-in-law and father-in-law were already awaiting my tea offering when Granny Lee and her old companions pulled me aside. Along with the concubines, my maids also forced their way beneath the undergarments. As for my mother-in-law, she had already fainted. As I personally thrust the twisted panties into her mouth, I was left pondering. Why was my mother-in-law so delighted? Everyone was so overjoyed that they nearly fainted. My father-in-law's face turned ashen, and he bellowed, "This is a disgrace to propriety. A disgrace to propriety. Shun Zhao Zhao. I shall inquire with your parents about the manner in which you were raised, and whether you possess the slightest semblance of etiquette. I simply cannot comprehend. Was it not said that this brings good fortune? Why is it that none of you seem pleased? This blessing is bestowed upon you. Do you not desire it?" The father-in-law, incensed, fell back in a faint, while the servants hurriedly lifted him away. Granny Lee pursued them, hurling scathing rebukes. With a heart filled with malice, "He shall inevitably face divine retribution." Subsequently, she meticulously dissected the incident for my understanding. Those beguiling harbingers of mischief possessed an audacity beyond measure. They would never dare to treat the princess with such disdain. It must surely be the scheming of that old crone. The princess, though sincere, must cultivate a deeper understanding to avoid being victimized by such treachery. I nestled in Granny's embrace, for with her protection, I felt unafraid. Sun Shiryong returned after the midday meal. "Was it you who caused your parents to faint?" His tone was rather fierce. As I glanced up, I caught sight of his collar askew and the conspicuous red marks adorning his neck. I was momentarily taken aback. He raised his hand and shoved me slightly. "I am inquiring about you," I retorted to him, questioning how one could possibly refer to fortune as mere air. Surely, it was the overwhelming joy of my in-laws that warranted such a term, considering they had indeed received an abundance of blessings. Sun Shiryong settled across from me, massaging his temples. "Is this what you call fortune? Forcing your parents to trudge around in foul-smelling undergarments and stuffing those items into your mother's embrace?" I observed the veins on his forehead bulging, and I was utterly perplexed. It was said by Raonyang and the others that I should pass through to pay my respects to my parents-in-law, for it would ensure a future of peace and prosperity. Before my marriage, both my grandmother and mother had instructed me to honor my father-in-law and mother-in-law with utmost devotion. In my heart, I privately mused that such great fortune should be reserved for the elderly to enjoy. Why is it that each of you appears as if you are intent on devouring me? It is truly baffling. After I unleashed a torrent of grievances upon him, he retorted with a single phrase, "Only women and petty men are difficult to nurture," before hastily retreating in disarray. On the third day of my nuptials, I was meant to return to my maternal home. After his court session, Sun Shiryong kicked open the intricately carved wooden door of my chamber, storming towards me with an accusatory demeanor. "Is it you who has sold Raonyang?" I still hold the list of gifts in my hand, prepared for my visit to my parental home. Initially, I sought counsel from my mother-in-law regarding whether there was anything the household should supplement. However, she declined, asserting that I am still quite young and not yet fit to bear such responsibilities as managing the household. Without the proper authority, I cannot access the storeroom of the estate. Helplessly, I handed her the list. Today marks the day of my return to my family. Does the household truly not provide me with anything at all? What significance does it hold for me to return home with my dowry? He forcefully yanked it away, tearing it apart. "If you do not bring Raonyang back, do not expect me to accompany you home. Furthermore, having married into my family, you are now mine. What is yours is consequently mine as well. There is no distinction between us. Even if you use your dowry, it remains the same." I inquired of him, "Did Raonyang leave in tears?" Sun Shiryong's gaze was dark and brooding, as if he intended to devour me. "How dare you even ask? By the sound of it, She was so overwhelmed with joy that she wept. I promptly instructed Green Cloud to prepare the gifts. If you do not accompany me, I shall return alone. It is Lady Rao who has urged me to sell her. I am a person of integrity, always eager to lend a helping hand. This individual is utterly deranged, consistently obstructing my noble intentions. Granny Lee, possessed of immense strength, forcefully pushed him aside. I departed with a large entourage of maids and servants. Upon seeing me return all alone, my grandmother wept as she embraced me tenderly, calling me her dear child. My mother, upon hearing Granny Lee's account, rose to retrieve a knife from her chamber. I intended to confront that wretched young man surnamed Sunday. I hastily intervened, saying, "Mother, it is unnecessary, truly unnecessary." My grandmother's eyes brimmed with tears once more. "Oh, my poor Zhao Zhao, when will you return? I shall accompany you. I wish to witness where this scoundrel derives his audacity to bully my delicate Jiao Jiao." Green Cloud, with a woeful expression, was weeping profusely. "Your Highness, madam, the young lord has stated that unless the concubine is redeemed, the princess shall not return. He will not come to fetch her."
Snap.
My keen ears detected a faint, crisp sound emanating from my left. To my left sat my father. I turned my head to glance at him. The old man had crushed a delicate, entwined, thin-walled cup. "Father, remain calm." I served him a generous portion of chicken leg. My father promptly returned the chicken leg to my bowl. Struggling to maintain composure, he decided to take a walk outside. Soon, Sun Shiryong found himself in a predicament of his own making. He arrived later that very afternoon. I waved farewell to my grandmother and mother as I shared a carriage with him. "Was it you who divulged the matter concerning Miss Yunxi and me?" He questioned me once more. I found myself in a state of utter helplessness. "Did you not send Rao Nyang to inform me that you spent that night in a separate courtyard? On this frigid day, I worry that the two of you may struggle to ignite the flames of passion. Moreover, I would not want the young lady to misconstrue your intentions or assume a lack of vigor. What harm is there in sending you a bit of reindeer blood wine to warm your spirits and enhance the atmosphere?" He caressed the jade ring in his hand and asked, "Should I still express my gratitude to you?" I shrugged my shoulders and replied, "What else is there to do? He harbors a desire to strangle me, yet he is cowardly. Are you aware that the censorate has impeached me for my favoritism towards concubines while neglecting my wife, abandoning the princess on our wedding night, and allowing you to return alone after 3 visits to the palace? His Majesty rebukes me for my perceived disrespect towards the royal family." I nod in acknowledgement, for he speaks the truth. Moreover, I correct him. There exist esteemed concubines. Humble concubines, maidservants, and those in intimate quarters, yet one could not find the name of Yunxiu among them. What manner of concubine is she? Sun Shiryong perceives me as a fool. "Do you mean to say that you agree to Yunxiu entering your home?" I replied, "Don't question me. What truly matters is whether she desires to step through your threshold." I engaged in a prolonged debate with him. He remarked, "If you disagree with her, how can she proceed?" To which I replied, "If she does not concur with me, how can I acquiesce?" At last, I comprehend. These two individuals desire me to take the initiative. They should have expressed it sooner. I am not of ill intent. I simply take pleasure in being helpful. Yun Xiu has entered the residence. Sun Shiryong promptly cast aside his thoughts of redeeming Rao Nyang, choosing instead to spend each night in the company of Aunt Yun.
Ah.
Men. The mother-in-law was exceedingly displeased. "After all, you are the legitimate wife of Yang. Could you not display at least a semblance of authority befitting the matriarch?" I acquiesced. The wishes of my mother-in-law must be fulfilled. That evening, while he was fervently engaged in the bed of Aunt Yun, Mama Li, wielding a soft sword, dragged him into my chamber. I exclaimed dramatically, "Mama, must you be so diligent? If you render him feeble, what shall become of Aunt Yun?" Madame Li retracted the soft sword. "After all, it is not as pliable as this old servant's blade. My lady, please feel free to indulge as you wish." Sun Shiryong lay languidly upon the bed, pointing at me with trembling fingers, his speech incoherent. "You, with your unseemly visage, devoid of face and skin." I gazed into the mirror. Snow-white skin, lips like cherries. My brows are naturally adorned, and my lips are naturally crimson. A pair of soulful eyes harboring autumn's depth. I inquired of Madame Li, "Am I truly unattractive?" Madame Li thrust her sword forward, pinning it at Sun Shiryang's location. It is he who is blind to the truth. I followed the trajectory of the soft sword and gazed in that direction. Madam, he appears so diminutive. Sun Shiryang fainted. Alas, honesty often elicits unwelcomed responses. The commotion this evening has been rather pronounced. When I sought to pay my respects to my mother-in-law, she instructed me to stand outside for a quarter of an hour. It was only when Sun Shiryang arrived that the servant at the door finally permitted me to enter. The chill in the air has intensified of late, and it seems a snowfall is imminent, leaving me devoid of any appetite. My dear daughter-in-law, I find myself yearning for dumplings. Retrieving the walnuts I had previously shelled for her, I popped them into my own mouth. If my mother-in-law desires anything, she need only send someone to the kitchen to convey her wishes. Surely she still holds sway over the servants? My mother-in-law carries herself with an air of superiority. Those clumsy individuals seldom find a daughter-in-law who attends to her duties with great care. When I first married into the Sun family, I would prepare dumplings for my mother-in-law every day. The dough was rolled so thin it was akin to gossamer, and each dumpling was pinched into a delicate morsel. My mother-in-law would boast to everyone that she was indeed a fortunate woman. I, alas, am in frail health, and I am uncertain whether I am deserving of the fortune bestowed upon my daughter-in-law. The moment her words escaped her lips, she was suddenly seized by a fit of coughs. Hastily, she retrieved a pristine white handkerchief to cover her mouth, and when the coughing subsided, Sun Shiryang's keen eyes caught sight of the stark crimson stains marring the immaculate fabric. Upon witnessing this, his heart sank, an urgent anxiety flooding his mind. His desperation was palpable, to the extent that when he turned to address me, his tone inadvertently bore a hint of severity. Why do you tarry? My mother suffered greatly during childbirth and has raised me with immense difficulty. Is it such a burden to desire the dumplings made by your own hands? Your reluctance is truly unfilial. Should my mother suffer any ill effects from this, I shall cast you aside. Despite my nature as a straightforward individual, his reprehensible demeanor inevitably ignited a flicker of indignation within me. Was the Beau family truly so impoverished before? Then why do you remain here? With a single command, I instructed Granny Lee to escort him to my mother-in-law's modest kitchen. You unfilial daughter-in-law, my mother has requested the dumplings crafted by your own hands. Unable to break free from Granny Lee's grasp, Sun Shiryang glowered at me in fury, while my mother-in-law chimed in to defend him. He is a man. It is unbecoming for a man to enter the kitchen. Such behavior invites misfortune. I remained unconvinced. In my family, it was my grandfather who cooked, and he even once served a princess. I saw no ill fate befall him. My mother-in-law's expression soured significantly, her face an unsettling mix of hues. As Granny Lee prepared to drag her son away, she waved her hand dismissively, feebly declaring, "Enough, do not trouble me. I have no desire to eat. That simply will not do. I am an honest person." Since my mother-in-law had made her request, my husband and I were compelled to fulfill it. The elder lady had specified that the dough must be rolled thinly and the dumplings delicately pinched. If you make them too thick, she will struggle to digest them. Do it again. Under Granny Sun's guidance, Sun Shiryang toiled until dusk, finally presenting a platter of exquisitely crafted lotus dumplings. My mother-in-law pointed at me, her eyes brimming with disdain. How could you allow your husband to undertake such menial tasks? I polished the silver chopsticks, picked up a dumpling dipped in vinegar, and offered it to her. She swatted it away. You vile woman, take it away. I refused to eat. The dumpling fell to the floor, yet I remained patient, offering her another. How can you speak so of my mother? This is but a token of your husband's filial piety. She turned her head away, insisting. I said to remove it. Do you not understand? Even if you force it upon me, I shall not eat. Sighing in resignation, I set down my chopsticks. Granny, please attend to my mother during her meal. True to her word, Granny Lee served her an entire plate of dumplings, albeit forcefully. How frustrating it is to compel me, an honest person, to engage in such unpleasantries. Having been married for over 3 months, my mother-in-law had remarked upon my sincerity, deeming me unsuitable for managing the household. The accounts were not to be handed over. Rather, the household expenditures would require the steward to retrieve the accounts from me. Madam, the garden in the courtyard requires repairs. The elder lady has instructed that funds be drawn from you. A mere 100 taels, and I acquiesced without a second thought. Yet, when concubine Yun, pregnant, requested blood swallows, it felt utterly excessive to demand that I access my private treasury. When Sun Shiryong came to share breakfast with me, he casually mentioned, Yun Xiang has a poor appetite and desires to eat bird's nest. I recall that your dowry included several exquisite blood swallows. Since they serve you no purpose, why not let her have them? Granny Li, taken aback by such shamelessness, immediately approached her. I instructed Green Cloud to open the storeroom and procure the blood swallows. Green Cloud, with teary eyes, expressed her frustration at this lack of morality. Sun Shiryong's face lit up with delight as he grasped my hand, making promises. I knew you were a good person. Rest assured, even if Yun Xiang bears a son and is recognized as a secondary wife, you will remain the lady of this household. You still aspire to be a secondary wife? Dreaming in broad daylight, are we? I withdrew my hand. Prepare it well and send it to me. My favorite delicacy is blood swallow. Sun Shiryong's countenance turned a shade of green with anger. You are utterly insufferable. Sharing a bed with you is nothing short of a nightmare. He rose, sweeping his sleeves in a huff and departing. I savored the bird's nest, blinking in disbelief. Is it truly wrong to speak the truth? This night, Green Cloud informed me that the Duke had once again visited that side. I tossed and turned, pondering for 3 days. Life had become unbearably mundane. Green Cloud, light the lanterns and grind the ink. I must write to my mother and inform her of my desire for a divorce. The letter was dispatched early that morning. Sun Shiryong arrived in the afternoon, kicking open the gate to my courtyard. He thrust the divorce papers at me with an air of authority. Since you have married me, you ought to remain steadfast by my side. Do you not understand the principle of a husband and wife? Dreaming of divorce is folly. I picked up the crumpled letter and smoothed it out. Firstly, I do not appreciate others meddling with my possessions. Secondly, how long have I been married to you? And how many times have you shared my bed? If you do not wish to sleep with me, am I to remain celibate? This is an unbearable injustice. Just yesterday, when concubine Yun came to pay her respects, she leaned against her waist, lamenting that the young master had been quite reckless the previous night, causing her pain. I found it peculiar. If he had caused her such discomfort, why did she appear so pleased? She replied that it was a mix of pain and pleasure, with a hint of itchiness. The rights of the bedroom and the pleasures of intimacy are experiences the lady has not yet known, and this is quite the affront. Upon hearing my woeful account, Sun Shiryong retorted, You still think to seek another? Do you not feel any shame? Then, seemingly consumed by rage, he bellowed, Very well. I shall indulge you. No sooner had he spoken than he forcefully pushed me onto the bed, adopting an attitude of disregard, intent on forcing himself upon me. Under the lamp's glow, the sight of a woman became increasingly uninspiring. He bit and gnawed at me for a moment before retreating. I resigned myself to the situation, unable to even extinguish the lamp. How insulting! Yet I was not prepared for him to summon concubine Yun to my chamber. You shall stand there and observe how I dote upon Yun Xiang. This was an egregious affront to an honest person. I could endure, but Granny Li could not. You treat the princess as if she were nothing. This is utterly outrageous. She acted swiftly, and I barely managed to intervene. With a punch, Granny Li struck Sun Shiryong, leaving him with a dark bruise around his eye. Princess, we must leave. The gates of the Sun residence were flung open that very night as I packed my belongings and departed. It would be inappropriate to disturb my parents at such a late hour. So I made my way to the 2-entry courtyard my grandmother had arranged for me in the western alley of the city. Go, fetch me a man. Just as I settled in, the familiar itch for my encounter with Sun Shiryong returned. Green Cloud, perplexed, asked Princess, Why seek a man at such an hour? I replied, To sleep. I do not comprehend, but I respect your wishes. Shortly after she left, Granny Li appeared, carrying a wretched scholar, whom she tossed onto my bed as if he were a mere sack of salt. Your Highness, please enjoy. But he is unconscious. How am I to make use of him? I inquired of Granny Li. How to use him? She instructed. Even in a stupor, it is of no consequence. You may take the initiative. That sounds rather laborious, I demurred. Long ago, I encountered my cousin, Princess Shanin, who often engaged in such play with her lovers. She appeared utterly exhausted. Granny, awaken him. When he roused, I took my rest. The youth's eyes were rimmed with red, a visage of humiliation. I entwined my legs around his waist, urging him, "Are you not sated? Use a bit of strength." Half an hour later, I lay upon his chest, completely drained, my fingers unwilling to move. For 3 full days, I did not step outside my room. Granny Lee, concerned for my health, knocked on my door several times. I had no time to respond to her. Hearing the sounds from within, she felt a bit embarrassed and ceased her inquiries. I reveled in the experience, becoming increasingly attached to him, questioning Sun Shiryang, understanding him, and ultimately surpassing him. I longed for the day when I could summon him and concubine Yun to witness how I pampered my husband. I reclined languidly on the couch, playfully tugging at his belt, and remarked upon my beauty. He remained silent. I climbed onto his waist, playfully nipping at his earlobe, admiring the blush that graced the corners of his eyes before finally releasing him. After all, he invariably professed, while tracing my features with his lips, that I was the most exquisite wife he had ever beheld. I jested that Sun Shiryang must have a problem with his eyesight. How could he resist a beauty of such national renown, even in the dark? He was incorrigible. I contemplated divorce. I had yet to devise a plan to draw him back to admire me, his beloved young lord. My family was the first to discover my retreat in the countryside to the west of the city. Upon entering, my grandmother embraced me, weeping. Cursed fate, forcing me to leave my home. That scoundrel had not even allowed me to savor my delicate dumplings. My grandmother lamented that she had misjudged the Sun family, who were far from honest. I reassured her, "Grandmother, I am not fatigued. With the presence of my nurse, how could I suffer?" Instantly, her tears ceased and she declared, "That's good. Nurse Lee has earned her reward." Thus, Nurse Lee received yet another bounty. My mother fretted over different matters. "I hear you have taken a young lord under your wing?" Upon hearing this, I felt a rush of embarrassment. She worried for my reputation. Yet, my grandmother was more open-minded, stating, "The girl from Shanin has her own paramour. Having but one is nothing to fret over. My darling is a princess, of noble lineage. What harm is there in having a few men?" She even inquired, "Is one enough? Would you like me to send you more?" I replied, "Thank you for the offer, but I am already overwhelmed." My mother feared my father would break my legs if he discovered the truth. My grandmother whispered to both my mother and me, "With a prince missing from the palace, your father is preoccupied. He has no time to concern himself with domestic affairs." She confided that as long as the crown prince was not appointed, the king of Chung and the prince of Xiangyang would be embroiled in conflict. However, she considered both to be of little consequence. The one she and my father had their eyes on was the obscure, uncherished 10th prince, who had gone missing. A few days later, my father's busyness waned. I knew not which loose tongue had revealed my secret to him. He stormed into my courtyard, demanding to see the young lord who had deceived his daughter. Rather than breaking my legs, he was concerned I had been tricked. I clung to him, weeping. The young lord arrived and, upon seeing my father, knelt down. "Your Highness." The heavens roared with thunder, leaving me in a daze. "What sort of Your Highness was this?" My father, pulling me down to kneel, begged for mercy. "My daughter has been unseemly. She deserves the gravest punishment. Please, Your Highness, forgive her." "Zhao Zhao, do not forget to bow and admit your mistakes to His Highness." In the palace, I recognized every prince and noble, yet I could not fathom from which corner this one had emerged. Momentarily stunned, I realized he was indeed the 10th prince, Zhao Xiaohai. How tragic. Having grown so long without a proper name, I mused that no matter how fervently I endeavored in bed, he had never disclosed his true name. It appeared to be a childhood trauma. No need for formalities. My uncle has raised a fine daughter. A cryptic gaze settled upon my head, sending a shiver down my spine. Had I truly ensnared the emperor's youngest son and kept him bound to my bed for several days? Was it too late to turn back? As my father departed, he cast a deep glance in my direction. "Zhao Zhao, the tides are shifting. Remain here and do not venture out until I return." I sobbed, clinging to his sleeve. "Father, the thunder frightens me." Zhao Xiaohai carried me back to my room. I tried to evade him, retreating to the edge of the bed. "Cousin, do you no longer want me?" As he leaned closer, his intoxicating scent enveloped me. My body trembled, and I stumbled, sitting on the edge of the bed, my voice breaking. I cannot accept this. Go away. He grew resolute and punished me harshly. What a terrifying man he was. In the midst of my turmoil, regret welled within me. If only I had not provoked him. Sun Shiryong appeared more insipid in comparison. Had I known, I would have preferred the strong surname Sunday. Zhao Xiaohai grasped my waist, his eyes clouded with darkness. Cousin, are you thinking of other men while beneath me? Has he ever been here? Has he ever loved you like this? I felt tears spill from the corners of my eyes. He feigned ignorance. When my father left, he instructed me to hide him and keep him safe. I longed to cry. Father, he bullies the innocent. He bent down and kissed my tears away. Why are you crying? His voice was gentle, yet the atmosphere was intense. I trembled, my tone high and fragile. Do not move, do not touch that. This wretched boy spoke no truth. I had never encountered a coward so adept at play. We had been enjoying ourselves thoroughly at home. When Sun Shiryong arrived, I suddenly remembered my status as a married woman. Have you had your fill of play? My patience is limited. Please return to your residence at your earliest convenience. His tone was far from pleasant, as he held a cup of tea, clearly displeased. He spat out a tea leaf and ordered my maid. Is there no semblance of decorum? Fetch me this year's newly released Lewin melon slices. To greet guests with stale tea is simply unacceptable. In a fit of rage, I splashed the entire cup of tea across his face. If you wish to eat, then eat. If not, then leave. He was drenched in tea, his forehead adorned with foam. His once handsome features contorted in anger. Have you had your fill of this nonsense? The head of the household has left, and our family is in debt. The shopkeepers and managers who regularly supply us have been blocking the door for payment. It is utterly humiliating. Furthermore, Yun Xiao is now carrying our family's eldest son and must not be deprived of her daily bird's nest. You must contribute financially. I, a person of such integrity, found his shamelessness absurdly amusing. What does this have to do with me? Was it not you who assured my family before our marriage that you would behave, never disrupt propriety, and allow concubines to bear children? You broke the agreement first. He continued to argue. I did wish to share a bed with you, but you simply do not understand how to please a man. You are too. Who is this man? How dare you raise a wild man behind my back? Sun Shiryong screamed. All his accusations fell silent upon seeing Zhao Xiaohai. Dressed in white, his belt casually draped, hair unbound, like ink flowing freely behind him, exuding an air of recklessness and ease. He did not spare a glance at Sun Shiryong but strode directly towards me, swiftly imprisoning me in the grand chair. Then, he leaned down, his lips gently brushing against mine, delivering a long and delicate kiss. Sun Shiryong's face flushed with rage, and he erupted, How dare you steal her? Zhao Xiaohai turned and we switched places. He sat in the grand chair, while I straddled his lap. What are you? Why should she please you? If you cannot serve her, there are plenty who would. Sun Shiryong's features twisted in fury. Absurd, utterly absurd. I languidly leaned against Zhao Xiaohai, toying with the strands of his hair that fell before his chest. I am Princess Jinrong. Is it not normal to have a few men? Sun Shiryong, in a fit of anger, blustered. You will return to my residence, settle our accounts, and dutifully send Yun Xiao her bird's nest daily. What transpired today shall be forgiven. You remain the mistress of the Sun residence, adorned in silk and living in luxury. I responded with a soft sound, my fingertips adorned with rouge, tracing his exposed skin. Sun Shiryong, do you think I am a cheap woman? Zhao Xiaohai swatted my hand away. Woman, do not play with fire. I shall play. I not only wish to play with fire, but I also wish to play with you. Come please me. Green cloud. See our guest out. Sun Shiryong was expelled by Nurse Li. When my father visited again, he appeared rather sheepish. My dear daughter, when you indulge, can you not be a bit more restrained? Sun Shiryong has even lodged a complaint with His Majesty. Devour me, utilize me, yet still find fault with my appearance. And now you dare to slander me before His Majesty? What a contemptible man he is. It is indeed my fault. I have been far too lenient, far too honest. Father, did you not once wish to be rid of him? My father nodded in affirmation. Indeed. I asked, do you still wish to do so? After a moment of hesitation, he did not force the matter. After all, who could blame me for being dutiful and filial? Father, could you do me a favor? Within 3 days, let it be known throughout the streets and alleys of Chang'an that Sun Shiyang spent the night with a courtesan on the day of his grand wedding. Furthermore, he has allowed his concubine to bully the princess and has even permitted her to crawl between his legs. His mother dares to torment the princess as well. Each and every one of these grievances is sufficient for me to annul my marriage to Sun Shiyang. On the day he received the divorce decree, he pleaded at the back door of my residence for an entire day. I did not see him. Lu Yun, go convey my message. My initial desire for a separation was out of consideration for you. Since you have shown such disrespect, I shall no longer hold back. In the royal family, there is only the option of divorce or widowhood. The notion of separation does not exist. I am now free, yet Zhao Xiaohai has vanished from beneath my very nose. I quickly dispatched someone to inform my father. I had been so preoccupied with him that I neglected to protect him. I bear the guilt. Remarkably, my father did not blame me, instead advising me to remain hidden, for the outside world had become chaotic. Ever obedient, I complied and stayed within the confines of the estate. Even Li Yun, who usually relished venturing out, quieted down and followed old Madame Li to learn embroidery. I trust my father. Indeed, the world outside has descended into turmoil. Zhao Xiaohai infiltrated my room one fateful night. A chilling breeze swept through the window, disrupting the gauzy curtains. Clad in dark garments, he soared into the room, enveloping me in his embrace, showering my lips and brow with fervent kisses. Did you miss me, cousin? Not in the slightest, I retorted, though he did not believe me. Let me see if you truly did not miss me. After our long separation, that night we indulged in a passionate reunion. He genuinely wished to devour me whole. Zhao, may I take you as my wife? Would you wish to share your life with me? He grasped my waist, urging me to profess my love for him. My words faltered, stumbling like an uncoordinated creature. I clung to him like an octopus. Surely, he must understand my feelings by now. The coronation and wedding ceremony were held simultaneously. Only later did I learn that the Prince of Cheng had rebelled. His Majesty was assassinated on the spot, and the King of Xiangyang was also executed. With two of the most formidable princes suddenly gone, my grandmother and father conspired to elevate Zhao Xiaohai to the throne. I remarked to my father that during Zhao Xiaohai's disappearance, he had been uncharacteristically silent. They kept everything from me, Zhao Xiaohai, having secured me in his grasp, mused. My good wife, while we indulge in our pleasures, could you refrain from being distracted? Your demeanor makes me yearn to ravish you. I turned to respond, come then. Who fears who? Since time immemorial, no field has been left uncultivated. Zhao Xiaohai's side story. The first time I laid eyes on Zhao. She was the daughter of a marquis, and I was a prince confined to the cold palace. My mother had passed away, and I languished in the cold palace, barely surviving. My health was poor, and I could not even procure medicine. She burst into the cold palace, dragging my feverish body to the Imperial Medical Institute. When I awoke, her eyes were red and puffy, resembling a little rabbit, as she softly asked, "Where does it hurt? Allow me to soothe you." Thanks to her, my back bore the wounds inflicted by the stones. Upon seeing her for the first time, I had already envisioned what to name our child. When I grew up, I would undoubtedly bully her mercilessly until she begged for mercy, with tearful eyes. Years passed before I saw her again. This time, she was outside my bed, binding me with her resolve, declaring that she would take me. How delightful. Xin Zhao, you brought this upon yourself. Each time I witnessed her softly sobbing, pleading for me to stop, my desire only intensified. Zhao, it was you who first enticed me. The end of the tale. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe. Until we meet again in the next story.